Hey guys, this is Small Pairs for HUSNG.com. I'm recording a $55 turbo on the Merge network against a random player. I've never played this guy before or seen him before, so I expect him to be just basically a random fish. So basically, we're playing um, for the most part readless, except um, assuming the fact that he's probably not a regular, probably on the fishier side. So far, I've been just kind of card dead starting out, folding a lot of hands. Here he limps. Um, I wouldn't have minded to see me stabbing this board, even though I'm on 100% readless, just because it misses the average player's limping range. They're going to have a lot of pure air on this board. Um, so stabbing out as a bluff, you get a lot of folds versus a lot of players. Some players, more thinking players, and even fish understand um, that and will float you on this board. Um, so I didn't want to do it. I don't like to bluff really early in a match versus an unknown opponent. Just because I think they're a lot more likely to call you down lighter earlier in the match. So I would rather just take a plus EV line and try and gather information and possibly use this as a spot to bluff later on. Um, and just give up since we're just so early in the match. I feel like game flow for bluffing early and heads up sit and goes is just generally bad. So he checks back and we hit bottom pair. Um, I expect him to still have a lot of air in his range. I don't know how he's going to respond on the turn, but I would be calling a bet on the turn if he bet. On the river, we trip up, and so this is kind of a spot where his range is really, really weak. Um, don't really expect him to have much that can call a value bet. But with the pot being so small and our hand is really disguised, I decided to overbet here. Just because if he does have some sort of showdown value that he's checking back, just trying to get the showdown with, I'm thinking maybe a large size bet could level him here just because, it, um, we're repping 2x and some ace x, and we don't really actually have a lot of that stuff in our range. So um, I was thinking it might just induce a hero call from him or something. But I think any size bet there would have been fine. Not going to contest on the ace 8-3 with 4-6. It's too dry. Completely missed it. I have no equity. Just good spot to just go ahead and give up. Um, I'm going to be c betting almost all my mid pair type hands and bottom pair hands. Um, Pretty much my entire range. I'll probably be c betting like close to 80-90% of flops, just to see how he responds and continue to put pressure on him. He calls our c bet here. Um, I expected to be a lot of 9, 10, queen 10 straight draws and some ace high and some jack X as well. Most people check raise their 8x here, but it's certainly possible for him to be calling. Again, remember we're pretty much readless, so it's hard to we can make generalizations, but we can't. We don't want to make too much assumptions. A barrel here without any equity. Um, I expect a lot of players, and this is another generalization, a lot of players will call another street here with ace high on the merge network. Um, it's just something that I've noticed through playing on there is that on paired boards, um, maybe not as much on this board, more on a board like 9-2-2-4. They're going to call with ace eight, two streets like all the time. So for that reason, um, and um, I think it's best just to check back here and kind of give up. Maybe possibly bluff some rivers if we get checked too, but probably just going to be giving up because it's going to be really hard for us to rep anything once we check the turn. Um, and he fires out the river. Pretty easy fold, I think. Still been a little bit card dead this game as far as starting hands go. It's okay. We'll just fold them and wait till we get better ones. C-bet here for value and to fold out his random air. He makes a really large check raise, this is his first check raise, and it's really really big, which I don't know what to make of it. I think a lot of fishier players will do that with a hand like Jack 8 or like Jack 9 because they just want to take the pot down here, and they don't want to see a turn. I mean, it's also likely a draw too, like 6-7 or something like that. He's calling really wide out of position, so he does have a lot of hands like 5-6, like 4, maybe even 4-6. And I'm not sure how they would play on this board. But given the size of his check raise and the fact that we have pocket pair sixes, I think it's going to be. I think peeling is an option, but I decided to fold mainly because with sixes we don't have any outs. Like I would much rather call with 5-8 than a pocket sixes, just because we have more outs. You know, with the sixes we only have our two outs, and with this sizing, I think it's pretty rare that he's going to be shutting down on any turns. I think he's going to barrel almost every turn. So for us to call 200 more here and then be folding on so many turns, I think is probably not the best play, and I think folding is going to be okay. But you could definitely make an argument for peeling, but just being readless, um, it's hard to get a good handle on what his range is. Here we flop trips and he checks back. Um, Again, we don't really know much about him. I think a lot of players will check back their ace highs on a flop like this and try and just get the showdown. So I think he does have a decent amount of ace X in his range, and I think he does have some air, a lot of air in his range, which could possibly be betting as well. So I decided to go for a check raise here for value, mainly because if he does have ace X, I think it's really hard to fold to a check raise, and he may even call a river bet as well. So I think that might be the optimal line for value versus his ace X hands. And if he does have air, then we get him to put one bet in the pot and fold, which is fine, which is what he ends up doing. He just ends up folding. Leading the turn there is also definitely a good option too. You easily get two bets from ace X by leading the turn and river there. He's been raising a pretty wide range so far. Definitely would have three bet there. He has limped a few hands as well. So I'm assuming his limping range is pretty weak. But again, that's just an assumption based off frequencies. So we want to keep our eyes open for actual ranges when we get to showdown and see if they're lining up with you know, the puzzle pieces that we're putting together from his frequencies. Here he men donks out, which you see, fish take this line occasionally. I think it's pretty silly. It makes it easy for me to basically do anything. I can float really easily, and I can bluff raise really easily, things like that. As far as his range for men donking, again, we're readless, so we have to go off assumptions, and I'm going to assume that it's not much 7x at all. I think if he was going to donk with 7x, he would donk bigger than this. I think it's more likely to be a hand like 10-6 or 10-jack or jack-9 or something like that. And then maybe some 8x, but I would kind of also expect the 8x to go bigger as well. So I think it's really a lot of draws. And being that we have a draw as well, and having the king high, we have okay showdown value, but not that great. He certainly could have ace X here, and it would be a shame for him to win at showdown with ace X. Um, so I decided to raise in this spot. Um, and if he does have ace X and we end up having to get it in on the flop against his ace X, I don't really mind. And even if he had a hand like 9-10 and decided to get it in, we're well ahead of that, so we shouldn't be too worried about getting our stack in on this flop. So I'll go ahead and make a standard side raise because he bets so small. I think 70 is a decent size.